Well, hello everybody, and thank you for joining us for this webinar. My name is Courtney Duddleston. I'm Head of Strategy and Finance with AFTA. We will get going very shortly. I can see that we're still getting some new attendees, so we'll probably start off in just a couple of minutes. Well, hello everyone, and thank you for joining us on this webinar. So first of all, I just want everyone here to know that the AFTA team are here and we remain at your disposal to assist in any way we can. We know that COVID-19 has taken hold of our industry and we know that we're in a difficult time. So to everyone here on this webinar, we feel with you just how difficult things are right now. And I can assure you that AFTA will continue to push governments to keep doing more and to keep doing more that is better targeted to the travel industry. So before we get going, I will just do a little housekeeping. We've got, at this stage, over 220 members on this webinar today, which most certainly highlights just how important these government packages are for our industry. I will place everyone here on mute, and if you do have a question, can I ask that you please type it into the question toolbox, which we will monitor. There are a couple of us from the AFTA team here on the webinar today, so we will monitor these and we'll endeavour to answer what we can at the end of the presentation. What we will also do is then collate all of the questions that everyone has, and post-webinar, we will send out to all attendees your questions answered. I'll also provide my contact details later on, so please feel free to take those down and reach out to me directly if anything else pops up that you wish to clarify. This webinar is also being recorded and we will upload it to our website so that you can refer back to it at a later stage. So in this session today, I want to use this time to run through with you what the federal government has released in their round 1 stimulus package and how your business may benefit from this. The Tax Office has also released measures to help affected businesses deal with cash flow, and which I will explain. Following this, I will outline AFTA's first submission to Federal Treasury, seeking urgent financial assistance for the travel sector across the country. We are fully committed and focused on getting action to support the travel industry, and in particular, travel agents at this time. And we've been working very hard behind the scenes to get our submission into as many hands as possible in Parliament House. We'll also have some time to answer some of your questions that you may have, and I will endeavour to get through as many as I can. So last week, the Australian government announced a $17.6 billion stimulus package to help offset the damage being done to businesses and employment from the coronavirus pandemic. The aim of this stimulus package is to keep businesses operating and support households. Essentially, the package has 4 parts to it. Supporting business investment, so for example, an increase in the instant asset write-off threshold. Cash flow assistance, which is providing a cash boost for businesses that have a PAYG withholding liability, and assistance around apprentices and trainees. And these are the 2 initiatives that I will spend some time on today. targeted support for the most severely affected regions. So the government has essentially allocated $1 billion to support particular sectors and regions that have been disproportionately affected by the economic impacts of COVID-19. However, we believe that this is more tourism focused rather than business focused. And a household stimulus payment of $750 to pensioners, social security, veterans and other income support recipients and eligible concession card holders. So the boosting cash flow for employers has been designed to help small and medium businesses with aggregated annual turnover of under $50 million to cover the costs of employee wages and salaries equal to 50% of PAYG withheld for businesses that withhold tax. Businesses that do pay salaries and wages but are not required to withhold tax will also receive a minimum payment of $2,000. This is a tax-free payment and it's expected to benefit around 690,000 businesses in Australia. Your eligibility for this is based on your aggregated annual turnover, which will be determined by the ATO from two criteria: your prior year tax return and your lodged prior BAS statements. There is no action required by you. You will need to lodge your activity statements as you normally would, and the payment will be delivered by the tax office as a credit in your activity statement system from next month. And should you be entitled to a refund from this, the ATO has committed to delivering those within 14 days to ensure that the cash is in your bank account. So I have included two examples to help put this into practice. So if your business, let's say, employed 8 full-time travel consultants, for the months of March, April, May and June, you are reporting PAYG withholding of $15,000 on each of those statements. So under these changes, you would be eligible to receive a first payment of $22,500 in the March period and a payment of $2,500 for the April period before you reach the $25,000 cap. You'd be entitled to no payment in the May or June period because you had reached this cap. If you were employing, let's say, 2 casual workers and each earned around $10,000 per year, which were under the tax-free threshold, for the March quarter, you'd be entitled to a payment of $2,000 because you paid wages and salaries, but you were not required to withhold any tax. In the June quarter, you would have no further tax liability, so you would not be entitled to a further rebate. The government has also provided assistance in the form of wage subsidy for businesses who retain their apprentices and their trainees. This initiative is about encouraging small business to retain their trainees in the workforce. Eligible businesses can apply for a wage subsidy of 50% of the wages paid for the period 1st of January to 30th of September this year, to a maximum of $21,000 per eligible trainee. So if you're a small business and you employ less than 20 full-time employees, then you would be eligible for this. So let's say your travel agency had 2 trainees on board, one undertaking a Cert 3 and the other undertaking a Cert 4. You have one trainee that's earning $500 a week who started with your business February this year. You have another trainee who is earning a weekly wage of $700 and started working with your business back in 2017. Under this scheme, your business is eligible to receive 50% of the trainee's wages that have been paid by your business between 1st of January this year to 30 September this year. So based on these calculations of what is being paid, you would have a wage subsidy owed to you of $22,150. The Australian Taxation Office has also implemented a series of administrative measures to assist Australians experiencing financial difficulty as a result of the COVID-19 outbreak, and is encouraging businesses impacted by the coronavirus to get in touch with the ATO to discuss relief options. There are a number of options available to assist businesses impacted, which include deferring payments of amounts due through the BAS system or income tax assessments, FBT assessments, by up to 4 months, allowing businesses that report GST on a quarterly cycle to opt into monthly reporting to access GST refunds quicker, allowing the variation of your March 2020 PAYG instalment amount to 0, remitting any interest and penalties incurred on or after 23rd of January next year that have been applied to tax liabilities, and working with affected businesses to help them pay existing and ongoing tax liabilities, such as entering into low interest payment plans to assist with cash flow. I will highlight, though, that it's important to note employers will still need to meet their ongoing super guarantee obligations for their employees. The ATO has also set up a dedicated emergency support info line for anyone who has been affected financially by the coronavirus, and I would encourage everyone here to contact them when you're ready to discuss with them your situation and see what assistance is available. So yesterday, AFTA lodged an emergency support submission with the Federal Treasury seeking urgent financial assistance for the travel sector across the country. And while the initial round stimulus package announced last week was welcomed, and it is a step in the right direction, the government definitely needs to provide more immediate relief to struggling businesses and sole traders in desperate need of cash flow. Our key proposals to the Coronavirus Business Liaison Unit, or the BLU, which has been set up within Treasury, includes a debt covenants guarantee, which would see the government back existing loans, AFTA's also asked for a clarification of a section of the Fair Work Act relating to stand-down provisions. And in addition to this, we want immediate, simple and acknowledged Centrelink support for affected employees. AFTA also supports immediate loans to travel agency small businesses, and we've specifically related this to TTV applicable to our industry. And in terms of additional cash flow assistance for businesses, AFTA's asked for the parameters of the current stimulus package to be extended from a $25,000 cap to $100,000, and for eligible turnover to be increased to $500 million. We've also asked for this to be extended until the end of the calendar year. Other initiatives include delays to BAS lodgements, loss carryback reinstatement, and the waiving of penalties for incorrect PAYG variations. AFTA has also put to government the deferral of payment of GST liabilities to 2021 as part of further cash flow assistance measures. In relation to sole traders, the first stage for this is asking the government to provide emergency withdrawals of up to 10% of superannuation balances to assist with cash flow with no conditions on expenditure type. And I do want to emphasise that all of these measures are a work in progress, with many other concepts and measures currently being considered. We're lobbying really hard to make sure that every single politician understands why these measures must be enacted immediately, but we're in no way certain that any of what we've been proposed will get included in the next round of stimulus packages. But this is just our first submission. We don't know how long this will go on for and how long the impact will be felt in our industry. So right now, AFTA is currently working on a supplementary submission to follow what was sent to the government yesterday, and we will keep lobbying hard to ensure our small business and sole trader members are heard and helped. My advice to everyone here is to speak with your accountant and work out what you are eligible for. Your accountant knows your business and will be able to provide advice specific to your circumstances. Ensure you're signed up to receive our member emails. We're working to ensure members receive the latest updates, whether that's Smart Traveller, submissions that AFTA is making to government, or webinars that we're holding. I'd also encourage everyone here to visit our website, where we have a dedicated page on the stimulus packages that have been released by the various states and territories. And I'll also take this opportunity to remind everyone that AFTA is hosting 2 town hall webinars on Monday to replace our roadshows that were planned for next week. Jason Westbury and the AFTA leadership team will be providing members with a further update on the COVID-19 situation, including an outline of activities with government and practical options that should be considered at this time. And if you do need any details around these town halls, please do not hesitate to contact the AFTA office. So for those who've been following the news and the Prime Minister's press releases, you would have seen that yesterday, the federal government announced a $90 billion term funding facility for the banking system, which essentially means that they are turning the printers on. But what exactly does this mean for us and our businesses? We're working with Treasury right now to find out exactly how our members can benefit from this. And I did see just this morning an announcement came from the Australian Banking Association that all banks will defer small business loan repayments for 6 months, with the hope of cancelling repayments for stressed borrowers from Monday. And I've also just read that banks are open to consider cases of mortgage hardship as a result of coronavirus. And I'm not sure if anyone here online has heard the PM's interview this morning with Alan Jones, but he acknowledged the hard struggles of our industry, and I do quote, "The travel industry has been terribly hit, and that's why the government will be moving to have a much bigger package of support to cushion the blow for the many who are working in these travel agencies. We all know people who work in that industry. The travel industry is affected right now up the coast and across the country." And so while this is promising, it's now time for the government to deliver, and AFTA is working around the clock to ensure our members are not forgotten. And lastly, I want to let everybody here know that AFTA is here for you. You're not alone in this, and I can assure you, hand on heart, that Jason and the rest of our small team here will do absolutely everything we can to ensure that our industry comes out stronger than ever. So we do have some time for questions, so I can see that they're being filtered through. I'm just going to run through these now, and we'll come back to everybody with some answers. Okay, so I've got a question from Navni. Does the business need to make a physical payment before the credit will be applied? And this is in relation, Navni, to the PAYG withholding that you will receive. So if you had an amount owing in your BAS, because you had a GST amount owing, then the PAYG withholding rebate would be offset against the amount that you owed the tax office. If you were lodging a BAS with no GST due to the tax office, and you had a credit from the PAYG withholding, then they would owe you the money. I have a question from Michelle. Is aggregated annual turnover the gross sales for a travel agency or the total income, which is taken from the tax return of that business? Michelle, it's taken from the tax return from your business, so it would be commission only. Okay, it seems we're getting a lot of technical questions specific to actual businesses. So we're going to go through these now. And I think what is best, there's a couple of questions in here around building contracts and lease contracts and commitments as well. For anything that you might be tied in for a lease or a contract of some sort, our advice would be to speak to your lawyer. But what we might do is run through these, and if there's any general questions that we can answer specific to the travel industry, we'll send these around to all attendees. Okay, we have a question, if you have to be ATAS accredited for the PAYG withholding rebate? No, you don't. You have to just meet the requirements of being a small to medium enterprise. Ian has asked if we're sending out the slides. Ian, we will send the slides out to you, and we will also upload them to our website so that you can refer back to the recording. Okay, we've got everybody's contact details here. So over the next 24 hours, we're going to be going through these questions. We'll be sending out answers to all of them. And I will just take this opportunity again to remind everybody to jump online and to the AFTA website and register for Jason's town hall that will be specifically around COVID-19. Well, thank you, everybody. And I do hope this was helpful. Like I said, we're all in this together. And if you do have anything specific, please feel free to send me an email directly or to call the AFTA office. Thank you.